Recording in progress. La la la. Hey Kendall, how's it going?
Hi.
Are you enjoying your summer so far?
Yeah.
That's good. Have you been going to any camps or going to the pool?
Well, I go to the pool sometimes.
Oh, cool. I used to swim a lot and I would go to the pool every day. I miss going to the pool that often. Now I don't go as much.
Yeah.
We'll just give everybody else maybe 2 more minutes and then we'll get started.
Did you watch the Olympics?
I watched some of the Olympics. I saw the triathlon. I saw a little bit of gymnastics. I saw the opening ceremony where all the different countries like walked out. That was really beautiful. And I think I saw some swimming events. What about you?
I didn't really watch a lot. I watched pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So like more swimming than anything else.
Yeah, same here. Do you swim competitively or you just like to watch?
I just like to watch.
Do you know which event you saw? Or like what stroke they were doing?
I saw a butterfly one, I remember.
Yeah, that used to be my favorite stroke was butterfly. I liked butterfly and freestyle. Those are my strokes. Okay, so I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. And then if anybody else joins us, then I'll let them in. But for now, we will just start. Let me pull up my presentation. That way you can see it also. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at strawberry DNA and extracting it from the strawberry. So the materials that you need a Ziploc bag, you need 2 strawberries. They can be fresh or frozen. Mine are fresh, just came out the refrigerator. You're gonna need some water. You're going to need 2 plastic cups. And you're going to need a coffee filter, rubbing alcohol, a coffee stirrer like this. If you don't have a coffee stirrer, you can also use a toothpick, just something kind of long and skinny. And you also need salt and a spoon. And we're also going to be using a 1 tablespoon measuring cup for the salt later. And we're also going to use just a liquid 1 cup measuring cup too.
What if I don't have a coffee filter?
If you don't have a coffee filter, you can, okay. You could use maybe a napkin as a filter. That might work well. We're going to be straining the strawberry, so like separating like the juice from the chunks. So anything, you might be able to use paper. You might be able to use, if you have like a strainer at your home, maybe you can use that.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So what is DNA? First, before I start explaining, do you have any ideas about DNA or what DNA is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
What do you know about
about
DNA?
when your parent, it's like, I don't know how to describe. It's like when you have like some cells, I think, in their DNA, which tell you about yourself. And you can match them up to see who your family is sometimes.
Yeah, that's a really great explanation. So DNA is found inside of cells, mostly inside of the nucleus of cells, so like in the center. Sorry. And DNA contains all of the information necessary to build and maintain an organism. So like what you were saying, it tells you about yourself, about living things, how you're going to appear, the traits that you might have. And almost every cell in a multicellular organism, multicellular like an organism that has more than 1 cell, almost every cell in a multicellular organism possesses the full set of DNA for that organism. So one of your cells has all of your DNA. So the letters D in an A stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, but we normally shorten it to DNA because that's really long to say all the time. All living things have DNA inside of their cells. And DNA is also really important. It's the material that carries all the information about how a living thing will look and function. And determines things like the color of your eyes and how your lungs work, things like that. And DNA is found in structures of the cell called chromosomes. And both DNA and chromosomes are super tiny, and scientists have to use very powerful microscopes to be able to look at DNA and study and learn about DNA. So we're going to watch a little video about DNA.
Writing's not that easy, but
After the
Grammarly can
commercial.
help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
Clarendon Learning explores DNA. What is DNA for kids, you ask? Well, let me ask you. Who are you? Who are you really? What color are your eyes? Do you have earlobes? Are you tall or not? Can you curl your tongue? Many of your personal traits are inherited, meaning they come from your ancestors like your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. And these traits are written in code, located deep in your DNA. In this video, Clarendon Learning explores DNA for kids, where we will discuss what in the world is DNA. DNA? What's a DNA, you ask? And more importantly, where is this DNA? If you had electron microscopic vision, you could find DNA deep in the nucleus of the trillions of cells that make up your skin tissue and organ tissue in your entire body. Your special DNA codes. You are one of a kind. Unless you're an identical twin, then of course you're twice as special. DNA is short for deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. And this is what the DNA molecule looks like. Long strands connected by a genetic material to form a double helix, and kind of looks like a spiral staircase. Do you see it? You have approximately 10 trillion cells in your body, and if you were to stretch out all your DNA from every cell, it would reach from the Earth to the Sun 100 times. That is a lot of DNA. DNA strands are so long that they must be packaged special so they can fit into the nucleus of every cell. They are wound up tight and form structures called chromosomes. Chrome-o-some. Chromosomes. A complete set of 23 pairs of chromosomes, structured like X's and Y's, fit nicely into every cell, and this is what identifies your physical traits. Traits from your mother and traits from your father. And this is what makes you unique. DNA is found in all living organisms, on land and in the sea. It's what makes a T-Rex, or makes a cat a cat. DNA identifies a bug or a leaf or a person, and it is what makes you, you. It's what gives you blue or brown or green eyes, or a little of everything. DNA research can be valuable in the healthcare industry. DNA material obtained from a blood sample or from a swab of saliva from inside your cheek may show a link to certain kinds of cancers. Would it be great if genetic research could help prevent cancer before it developed? DNA testing has become very popular in family history research. Would you like to know what countries your ancestors came from? This kind of work is also called genealogy. From a simple drop of spit, your DNA can show the migration pattern of many generations of family members. Many people are fascinated to learn the origins of their family tree and where they came from. Every family story is important, and we can also learn how we are all connected. Using DNA material to find criminals has become very important. The bad guys may be able to run, but they can't hide. Evildoers will always leave tracks behind, even if it's a trace of blood or skin. The cops will always get their man. You might remember in the movie Jurassic Park how dinosaur DNA was extracted from an ancient mosquito trapped in amber. That may not be realistic, but think about it. If it were possible, should we grow dinosaurs today? It's fun to think about, but maybe scary. After all, who wants a Tyrannosaurus Rex running amok through their neighborhood? Not me. DNA technology is used in archaeology, sometimes in being able to identify what an ancient mummy may have died of. It's all in the DNA. Consider using DNA and genetic science in breeding animals. Cows bred to produce more milk without using hormones, healthier meat, prettier poodles, and crops that yield more fruit and vegetables. DNA is what gives a tulip its blooms in thousands of colors. DNA gives a rose its thorns. Rows and rows of shark's teeth? It's in the DNA. A long-necked giraffe and a zebra with stripes? The secret code? Yep, all in their DNA. DNA gives you the dimple in your chin and the freckles on your nose. And we like you just the way you are. Thanks for following Clarendon Learning.
You're muted.
I know, I just realized. So I really like that video because I think it shows all the ways that DNA affects our lives and the ecosystems, and not just humans, but all animals and plants and living things. So do you have any questions before we start? Or start the activity?
Why did they make deoxyrib? No, you know what? Why did they make it that hard?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
Well, deoxyribonucleic acid, like all of those, like all the parts when he broke it up, I think each part stands for a different thing. And I can actually, since you're the only person here, we have a little time. Let's deoxyribonucleic acid. Oh, the name comes from its structure. Yeah, so DNA is has a sugar and phosphate backbone. So I have this is a little pipe cleaner model of DNA, and the backbone of the DNA are like these two pieces, and that part is made up of sugar and actual DNA, not my model. And so it seems like the name, it's like the deoxyribonucleic part, comes from the sugar and phosphate backbone.
Ooh.
Cool, that was interesting. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is, if your strawberries have stems on them, you can just take the stems off. We're not going to use them, so throw them away, put them somewhere else. And next we're going to use our Ziploc bag and place the strawberries into the Ziploc bag. My strawberries smell really fresh and it's making me hungry. You're going to put it into your bag and then try to get all the air out of the bag. And once you've gotten the air out of the bag, then you can just seal it. And then I'm going to give us a timer for 2 minutes. And in those 2 minutes, you can, with the bag sealed, just use your fist and try to sort of smash the strawberries. You don't have to hit them as hard as you can, but you want them to break apart into like a juice. All right, and there goes our timer. Ooh, I'm sure you can see the timer. 2 minutes on the clock. One minute 30. I'm gonna let out some of the air that I have in my bag because I feel like I still have a lot, even though I tried to get most of it out, but there we go, that's better. "40 seconds, time is going away." 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, there's our time. All right, so can you hold up your bag of strawberries? That way I know how yours looks. Looks great. Here's mine so you can see. Perfect. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a DNA extraction liquid. So this liquid is really important because we just smashed up our strawberries. We want to be able to extract or take out the DNA from inside of the cells of the strawberries, and the liquid that we're making is going to help us do that. So this is when you need your measuring cups. We're going to first add 1 teaspoon of salt, and this is going to go into one of the plastic cups that you have. Doesn't matter which one.
Teaspoon, right? This teaspoon too is the same thing. Okay, I'm seeing this.
So I have 1 teaspoon of salt and 2 teaspoons of detergent, or like soap. There's 1. And there's my 2nd teaspoon of soap. And then lastly, I'm adding 1/2 cup of water. And this is just, I guess, room temperature water. The temperature for the water isn't really important.
How much water?
And you can just give me a thumbs up once you've added everything in your cup. That way I know.
How much water again?
It's 1/2 cup of water.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. And once you have that, you can just take your spoon and you're just going to stir what's in your cup until the salt has dissolved. So like I mentioned, the DNA is packaged very tightly inside of the cell. That way your DNA doesn't just like float out of your cell. And so in order to extract it, we have to break the DNA out of the cell, which means breaking the protective cell membrane. And the point of the cell membrane is that it holds the cell in place and to make sure that nothing is moving around in the cell and nothing leaves the cell when it's not supposed to. And the detergent in our solution causes the cell membrane to break down because detergent does a really great job of dissolving and breaking apart bonds. That's why, like when you're cleaning dishes, you use soap or detergent to help break up any food or residue that's stuck to your dishes. It's the exact same reason that we're using it today, because detergent can break down things and dissolve the bonds that hold the cell membrane and the DNA together. All right, I think my salt has dissolved all the way, so I'm all done stirring. And the next thing you're going to do is you can open your bag and you're just going to add 2 spoonfuls of the DNA liquid into the plastic bag.
It smells good.
Smells like a smoothie till you add the detergent. 1, and ooh, that's kind of a small spoonful. There we go. So now I have 2 spoonfuls of the DNA extraction liquid inside the strawberry bag. And we're all done with the DNA extraction liquid for now, so I'm just going to put it to the side. And next, I'm going to give us a timer for 1 minute, and we're going to keep smashing the strawberries. This time, try to smash the strawberries very gently. You don't want to smash them too much because then you can break up the DNA, and we want to have DNA strands that we can see. So we're going to gently smash the bag for 1 minute.
Okay.
Oh, the timer did not actually start. All right, let's just say we're 30 seconds in. There we go. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Timer's up. All right. Next thing we're going to do is I'm just pushing all my strawberry liquid to the bottom of the bag. That way it's not all over the place. And now we're going to use the second cup, so the empty one. And I have a coffee filter, but whatever filter you're using, you're going to place that over the cup. And then once you have your filter ready, you're going to pour the strawberry solution on like into the filter that's over the cup. And you might want to just pour like half of it at a time, depending on how much kind of strawberry juice you have. So that's about half of my bag. And once you've poured the strawberry juice onto your filter, I'm just picking up the filter like this and sort of squeezing it. That way the liquid starts to drain into the cup. Did you find something you can use the coffee filter?
Yes.
Great, I'm glad. The only thing I'll say to be careful of is that if you like squeeze the coffee filter or your paper too much, then you can get a hole in it, and then the chunky part of the strawberry that wasn't mashed up all the way will fall into the cup, which happened to me earlier today. So try to be careful with the paper as it starts to get soggy.
Do we add the whole bag? Or just
Yeah,
half?
you can add the whole bag. Yep.
Okay.
And I'm adding the last bit in my bag now. There we go. The more strawberry liquid you end up getting, the more DNA you're likely to have. And once you feel like you have all the liquid, just give me a thumbs up. That way I know. Okay, so I think this is about all the liquid that I'm gonna get, just sort of this bottom layer there. So once you're done, you can toss your coffee filter and the strawberry part. I'm just going to put it in the bag and throw it away later. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, or are you ready for the next step, or are you still draining? Okay, perfect. So now we're going to use our rubbing alcohol. And for this part, you're going to tilt your cup at a 45-degree angle. So like standing up is 90 degrees and laying flat is 0. So right in between. And then you're going to add the same amount of alcohol as there is strawberry juice in the cup. So you're just like sort of eyeballing it. And once you add in the alcohol, don't tilt your cup. Keep it at that same angle. And this alcohol is cooled. It was in the refrigerator, so it's nice and chilly.
You gotta fill out one from the squeeze part.
And once you've added in your alcohol, you can look in your cup after a few seconds and tell me if you notice anything different about how the strawberry liquid looks.
But that's good. Pour it slowly. See if it looks any different.
It looks cloudy more.
It looks cloudy, yeah. So that whitish cloudy stuff, that's the DNA that we extracted. So those are all the DNA strands that are all sort of jumbled and mixed up. So now you can take your coffee stir and you can just spin it around in your cup to like spin around all the white cloudy stuff, the DNA strands. So
Ooh,
like,
they stick together.
yeah, they stick together and you can sort of pick them up and look at them. So all the DNA is clumped together, and the salt that we added in our DNA extraction liquid helps the DNA to stick together. So that's why the DNA molecules are sticking together instead of sort of floating apart. That's why you're able to pick them all up. So in order to get inside the cells of DNA, we had to dissolve and break up the cell membranes. And the cell membranes are made up of fatty molecules. And the DNA extraction solution contains the detergent, and the detergent also contains salt, which helps to dissolve the DNA into the which helps to dissolve the DNA into the solution. So here's
Like a
mine
sheet.
all wrapped up. Oh, what was that?
It's like a sheet.
It's like a sheet.
Yeah, like it would go over the water.
Oh, yeah. So people cell biologists who study cells and a lot of times examine DNA, they use ethanol or isopropyl alcohol, the same rubbing alcohol that we use, so that the DNA clumps together and it forms like the whitish stuff that we're able to see. And what I mean that causes the DNA to precipitate, and all that means that the DNA becomes visible and any impurities in the DNA go away. So you just have nice DNA that's easy to see and easy to look at and manipulate and study. And the reason that the alcohol had to be cold is because that allows a larger amount of DNA to be extracted. So that's why the temperature of the alcohol is important. If the alcohol is too warm, then the alcohol can cause the DNA to like break apart, or it's called denature. So the alcohol just breaks down, or not, so the DNA breaks down, and then it's harder to look at the DNA. So, okay. We are almost all done. We have a couple questions. So, first question. What does DNA stand for? And if you can't pronounce it, that's totally okay. I can barely say it also.
Right? It's like
Yeah, you almost got it. It is deoxyribonucleic acid. And why is DNA important? There are lots of reasons, but you could just give me one.
because it mostly tells you who you are and also about your roots.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that DNA can tell you about who you are or your ancestors and how DNA gets passed along is because DNA carries information about living things and how you function. And what is something new that you learned today?
That they stay together.
Yep. Okay, awesome. Well, this was our last activity for Got Science because it's just for the month of July. So we're all done, but I hope you had fun. And as far as cleanup today, everything can either be thrown away or just like rinsed down the sink.
Okay.
All right. Have a great rest of your summer. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.